Hello and welcome back to Hindustan Astrology. I'm Katya. In today's video, we're going to talk about the planetary affiliations of essential oils and how we can use them in Vedic astrology to improve ourselves, improve our energy, improve our chart, and grow. So essential oils are something that, gosh, I've been involved with really since the 90s, back when I used to follow the Grateful Dead. Oils were everywhere. Everyone was wearing patchouli and lavender and rose, and I learned about all of these wonderful usages for essential oils. And then in about 2012 is when I got into Vedic astrology. I've done Western astrology since I was like 9 years old with my mother. But once I learned about Vedic astrology, I kind of started putting the two together. And lots of other people have done this too. It's nothing new. But what is new is the way I've made my NavaGraha Elixirs. Now let's just talk about what they are. I created a brand called Uma's Upayas, and Uma is one of the names for Parvati, who is the wife of Shiva, and she rules devotion, motherhood, marriage, love, beauty, all of the wonderful motherly aspects of the woman. And so Upayas are things you can do to improve your chart. And, we always prescribe mantras, as Vedic astrologers. Like if your Mars is debilitated, then you would do Mars mantras, or the Lord of whatever, your Lagna you can do. There's so many different ways to look at improving your energy. And essential oils, the reason why I feel they work so well, and I'm not alone in this, is that they work on our emotions. And our emotions in the brain are ruled by a part called the limbic system. Now, the limbic system has two lobes that go right up front where our sinuses are, where our olfactory system is, and our olfactory lobes go all the way back to the limbic system. So, when we smell something, all of those little receptors in our sinuses activate those lobes, go straight to our limbic system. And so what happens is memory and emotion are tied together. And so a lot of times, if you have a bad memory and something that you smell triggers it, you can work with the oils to help you change how you feel about the trauma that's happened to you. Now, of course, these are all mood enhancers. NavaGraha remedial measures are meant to just improve what's already there, right? So you can't change your chart, right? You can't suddenly become, something completely different. It doesn't work like that. It just helps you to mitigate some of the negative influences of the planets on your life. So let's take a look at each planet. And I also want to incorporate the theory that I recently took a class with VP Goel. He is a Vedic astrologer from India, an elderly gentleman, very knowledgeable. And he did a class on debilitation and how we should think about it and use it in a chart. And basically, he said what I've always felt all along, which is that debilitations are not always bad. And in fact, sometimes they can be good. Retrogrades are not always bad. In fact, sometimes they can be good. In fact, I would much prefer to see a chart that has debilitated planets and retrograde planets over exalted. And why is that? Well, exalted planets tend to make the individual a little bit arrogant. And if everything is too smooth and goes easy for them, if their chart has, too many good influences and not enough harsh aspects that bring challenges, which bring growth, then you're going to have somebody who takes advantage of other people. And so I would much rather see a chart, as long as there's enough good things to add strength and backbone for them to overcome the challenges. Arista yogas, which are planets that are 6-8 to each other, depending on if you're looking from the Lagna or the moon, they produce sadness in life. So, many times sadness brings emotional growth. So debilitated is not always bad. So don't think of it that way. But let's talk about what's the difference between an elixir and a perfume. So an elixir is just essential oils and water. It has a lot of essential oils. And the way I've made them is so that you can fumigate your head, and you really want to get your sinuses just, submerged in the scent. And that way it goes straight to your brain. You can use it as a perfume. You can use it as an air spray. You can use them as a pillow spray. They're all natural, all organic. So, it won't hurt you, to inhale. A perfume is an alcohol-based fragrance. And alcohol is used in the process of making the perfume base. And so you don't really want to take a perfume and fumigate your head with it, because it's not good for your sinuses. It's not good for your lungs to breathe in alcohol. So that's the difference. And these remedies are, something that you can incorporate into your lifestyle. The way I like to use the NavaGraha set, and there's an oil one too, which is more like a lotion or a perfume oil or massage oil with the same scent. But the way I like to use these elixirs is, a real basic way is every day of the week, like, today's Wednesday. So I did my Mercury mantras earlier, and I sprayed my Mercury spray. And that gets me into the energy of Mercury. You can do it according to that, the hour. You can do it, so many things in the Panchanga, the Tithi, you can play with your yogi point, whatever your yogi point is. But the way I like to do it is just, every day of the week, I do a different graha and I play with different oils. And I feel like it's, activating different parts of my psyche as well. So I'm not just focusing on what I have debilitated in my chart. You know what I mean? Like, I'm interacting with the energies that are all around. So that's how I like to use them. Let's start with the first planet, okay? So the first one is Surya. Now, according to VP Goals theory, we have Sun is debilitated in the sign of Libra. Libra is ruled by Venus. Venus is exalted in the sign of Pisces, which is ruled by Jupiter. So Jupiter is the secret helper of the Sun. And they are usually natural, enemies. I mean, the Sun is the superstar. He can act like a malefic in the chart. I don't always agree that he's 100% a malefic, because he is the Sun. But Jupiter's the great benefic. And so in essential oils, Sun is the whole citrus family. Because if you have a debilitated Sun, then you have low energy. You have a low physical strength, and as long as, there are things that can negate debilitations, like Anicca Bhanga Raja Yoga. What is that? That's when one planet that is in good exaltation is with another planet who's in bad exaltation. He kind of brings them along for the ride and helps them out. So there are things in the chart that can negate that, but in essential oils, citruses are said to give us energy. Vitamin C, you put, vitamin C essential oil on your skin, you're going to absorb that vitamin C a lot quicker. What does the sunshine do? It gives us vitamin D, and that gives our immunity strength. So, and then also, Jupiter is the color yellow. And so it's particularly lemon and the lemony, orange citrus fruits that are sun. So if you add that to your blend, then that would be the planet sun. So next we have Chandra, the moon. And the moon is, in V.P. Gold's theory of debilitation, we have moon is debilitated in the sign of Scorpio. Scorpio is ruled by Mars. Mars is exalted in the sign of Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn. So Saturn is the secret helper of the moon. And that might be surprising to some people, but really, when you think about it, the way the moon debilitated in Scorpio acts is can be very depressed and jealous and kind of moody, grumpy, and that's Saturn too, right? Saturn can be very grumpy and depressed and all of those things. And so the remedies for the moon, for Saturn, would be the pine family. And so there are lots of pine scents. There's one particular flower, actually, that is called rock rose, and it's also called cistus in the essential oil world. And it is also called the rose of Sharon. And it is a white flower, white as the moon. And the smell of cistus is very citrusy, a little green, and a little floral. So that is an excellent oil remedy for the moon. And then also jasmine flowers. Jasmine is the perfect remedy for the moon because jasmine also helps depression. It's also a white flower, and it's a night blooming flower, just like the moon, we see at night, right? And in Iran, where jasmine flowers originally came from, women would use the flowers as a compress put on their breast to help lactation. Jasmine tea also helps lactation. So jasmine and rock rose are excellent remedies for the moon. So next we have Mercury, Oud. And Mercury in the theory of debilitation, let's go through it. So Mercury is debilitated in the sign of Pisces. Pisces is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is exalted in the sign of Cancer, and Cancer is ruled by the moon. So the moon is the secret helper of Mercury. When Mercury is debilitated in the sign of Pisces, he cannot think straight. Pisces is dreamy and otherworldly and, in an interdimension somewhere. And, Mercury needs to think. He's the planet of thinking and communication. And when he is foggy, we just can't get anything done. So when Mercury is exalted in Virgo, it's an excellent place for studying and communicating yourself and writing. Mercury in Virgo is excellent for writing. So this elixir will help to bring out the best qualities of Mercury and rid the fog. And so what is Mercury? Well, Mercury is really the premier essential oil for Mercury are the mint family, and particularly peppermint. And how that links in with the moon is that peppermint is actually really good for your lymphatic system. It helps it to flow better, and lymph is actually like a milky kind of a substance, kind of a milky green kind of substance. So you can see the moon's influence there. But what does peppermint do? Well, peppermint for Mercury opens the mind. It brings clarity. It brings, if you're tired, have mental fatigue, peppermint will wake you up. Peppermint is excellent for muscle aches too. There's just so many excellent applications of peppermint. So highly recommend that for debilitated Mercury. Now, next we have Venus, Shukra. And Venus is basically the entire flower family. All flowers are Venus. But through the debilitation theory, let's go through it. So Venus is debilitated in the sign of Virgo. Virgo is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is exalted in the sign of Virgo, which is ruled by Mercury. So Mercury is the secret helper of Venus, even though that's the ruler of her sign of debilitation. Isn't that crazy? So how does that work out? Well, since Venus is the whole flower family, there's one flower in particular that I always think of when I think of Mercury, and that's lavender. So lavender really is the premier essential oil for Venus. And what is Venus debilitated? Well, Venus debilitated is in Virgo, and that's when, Venus exalted is happy for no reason, but Venus debilitated is unhappy for every reason. So it's, cranky and bossy and just grumpy and crabby. That's debilitated Venus. And Venus also can be, and when it's debilitated, a bit of a slob and doesn't clean his house or organize things, or, wears clothes with holes in them or dirty or whatever. I always think of Pigpen from the Peanuts comic strip as being perfect Venus debilitated. So lavender, what does it do? Well, it's really good for cleaning. And for aromatherapy, it really calms the mind down as well. So it's excellent remedy for Venus debilitated. So let's go on to the next one, and we have Mars. So Mars debilitated is in the sign of Cancer. Cancer is ruled by the moon. Moon exalted is in the sign of Taurus, and Taurus is ruled by Venus. So Venus is the secret helper to get Mars debilitated under control. Isn't that crazy? And did you know the premier essential oil for Mars is rose? Yes, it's true. It's one of the other, big workhorses of the perfume industry. And in aromatherapy, what rose does is it brings you back to your heart. It brings you back to your center. And when Mars is debilitated, he can be very angry and has an inability to relax. And, the anger, because it's debilitated in the sign of Cancer, Mars's anger usually comes from other people's insensitivities. Other people, like, hurting innocent people, children, animals, whatever, that will make Mars debilitated go into a rage. And so to help the caring nature of Cancer not get out of control, we use rose oil. And rose topically is really good for the heart and the circulatory system as well. If you just take rose oil and just rub it over your heart, it feels good, it smells good. And rose is really good for sorrow as well. So that is the premier essential oil for Mars. Now let's take a look at Jupiter, Guru, and what helps to calm his debilitation. So Jupiter is debilitated in the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Saturn is exalted in the sign of Libra, which is ruled by Venus. So Venus is the secret helper of Jupiter. Now, it might be shocking to some people because they're both gurus of their camps and they are not planetary friends. But because Venus rules all flowers and Jupiter is a yellow planet, or I mean a yellow color, I have found that the flower called ylang ylang, or ylang, however you want to say it, from China, is the perfect remedy for Jupiter, because it gives hope and inspiration and optimism, which is what Jupiter needs, what he is. You know, it has this kind of peachy, flowery smell. It's really quite lovely. And it's one of the main ingredients in a lot of cosmetics across the board, you know, lotions, makeup, whatever. And then also all of the incense notes, you know, which are usually base notes, right? So let's go over them. We have sandalwood, we have vanilla, we have vetiver, we have orris root. There are a lot of base notes, and they have, a lot of them tend to have that incensey kind of quality. And because that's associated with meditation, and Jupiter is guru, these help bring Jupiter back into his exalted state. So when Jupiter is debilitated in the sign of Capricorn, he can be quite arrogant and quite a snob, actually. You know, Jupiter is teacher, and he's exalted in the sign of Cancer, because Cancer, the mother is the best teacher, and mother's ways are the best ways of teaching, which are kind and gentle and patient. Jupiter in Capricorn can be like the academic snob who is more concerned in writing his books than teaching a class. So ylang ylang is a wonderful remedy for Jupiter, and when you add it to your incense notes, it just adds a wonderful floral quality that is quite unusual. So I highly recommend playing with this wonderful oil. Now, let's talk about Saturn. Saturn debilitated is in the sign of Aries. Aries is ruled by Mars, and Mars is exalted in the sign of Capricorn, and Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. So Saturn's his own secret helper. Isn't that crazy? That one kind of blew my mind a little bit, but when you think about it, it makes sense. You know, Saturn, when he's debilitated, when Saturn's exalted, it's in the sign of Libra, and that's because Libra is the sign of partnership and harmony and cooperation, and Saturn is the sign of work, or the planet of work. And how do you get any work done? Cooperation, teamwork, relationships. So when Saturn is debilitated in the sign of Aries, what is Aries? Me, all about me, and not thinking about the tribe, not thinking about others, only thinking about myself and my ego, and not being a team player. And so what is the premier oils for Saturn? Well, it's the pine family. And there's one in particular that, well, there's a few actually that I really am into right now. The first one is black spruce, and the one I really like is the Young Living Northern Lights black spruce. It's fantastic. What do pine needles do? Well, they help the tree to breathe. They help us to breathe, right? We couldn't live on this planet without the CO2 that the trees emit. So Saturn, when in his Mula Tricona sign, is Aquarius. And Aquarius is an air sign. And that was one thing I had to really, you know, kind of beat into my head after I started Vedic astrology, was because, you know, in Western astrology, Aquarius is ruled by Neptune. But traditionally, Saturn rules Aquarius, and that's because it's a humanitarian sign. And Saturn is a black or dark planet, and so he rules the workers. He rules black and brown people as well. And so in the Mula Tricona sign, because it's an air sign, and Saturn is, you know, and Capricorn rather, is an earth sign, The pine family brings together the best qualities of Saturn. It grounds us because it's a tree, gives us roots, but yet the pine needles help us to breathe. So, so I said black spruce. The other one I love right now is the Idaho blue spruce, very beautiful, and then white fir, and it's FIR, the fir trees. They give you so much energy. If you have also an Ayurveda kapha problems, then pine is really good for you. Topically, pine is really good for pain relief. Obviously, we know about at Christmas time how it makes our home smell so wonderful if we have a real pine tree or pine candles or whatever. So it gives you energy, lifts your spirits, and it really helps to combat a lot of the Saturnian debilitation of selfishness and kind of thinking about themselves. Because trees, let's face it, you're not going to find one tree. There's going to be several. They all need each other. So to me, this is like the premier Saturn essential oil. Okay, so the next one, let's talk about Rahu. So Rahu, there's lots of theories about the exaltation and debilitation of Rahu. I follow the theory that Rahu is exalted in the sign of Taurus and debilitated in the sign of Scorpio. I know for some people they do the Gemini Sagittarius axis, but I think that Saturn exalted in Rahu just brings, Taurus brings out the best qualities of Rahu. Yes, he can be materialistic, but Taurus is a work hard, play hard kind of sign. And, when Rahu is debilitated in the sign of Scorpio, then we have too much of a voracious appetite, too much intensity, too much barking. Yeah, too much barking. And so let's go through the theory of debilitation. Okay, so Rahu debilitated in Scorpio. Scorpio is ruled by Mars. Mars is exalted in the sign of Capricorn, and Capricorn's ruled by Saturn. So Saturn is the secret helper of Rahu. And that's not too far-fetched because Saturn is likened to Rahu. The colors for Saturn are black, blue, and purple. And the colors for Rahu are black and purple. So to me, there's a couple different really good remedies. Rahu, to me, are the entire wood family. And sandalwood is really good. But what I really like for Rahu is agar wood or oud. Oud wood is the most expensive wood in the world. It's from the Middle East, and it's used in their perfumery for thousands of years. And there's different kinds of oud, and particularly black oud goes really well with Rahu. And lavender, even though lavender is Venus and Mercury, lavender helps Rahu to calm his mind down. And it's purple. And so that is one of the other tie-ins with Rahu. You can go with colors and obviously, the applications, but those two in particular, I think, help Rahu a lot in calming his voracious appetite down. And last but not least, Ketu. And this is probably my favorite one because Ketu rules hair. And to me, the premier essential oils for Ketu are the orchid and lily families. And there's a couple in particular I think are the best, and they are vanilla and lotus. So let's go through the theory of debilitation. Ketu is exalted in the sign of Scorpio and debilitated in the sign of Taurus. So Ketu is debilitated in the sign of Taurus, which is ruled by Venus. Venus is exalted in the sign of Pisces, ruled by Jupiter. So Jupiter is the secret helper to help Ketu get into balance. And that's also not too far-fetched. You know, Ketu is like it to Mars, but Jupiter, you know, Jupiter and Ketu are the most spiritual grahas, right? So Jupiter is guru. He is the great benefic, and he brings in all of the help with meditation that Ketu needs, because you know, when Ketu is debilitated in Taurus, he can become like a real religious fanatic. Ketu has already the tendency to be a religious fanatic. He doesn't have a head. He doesn't think. He just is, you know, feels from his heart, and he kind of goes off the deep end sometimes. And Taurus can be very stubborn, very old-fashioned, not wanting, it's like the traditional, you know, Catholic father who doesn't want to change one thing. That would be Ketu debilitated in Taurus. And so the things that help are the remedy for that, I feel, are vanilla, because vanilla also, the flowers are yellow and white. Yellow is Jupiter's color. And the vanilla pod, the bean, is brown, and brown is the color of Ketu. And so what does vanilla do? Well, the best thing is your hair, you guys. Get yourself some vanilla essential oil. Good stuff, organic, has to be organic. And put it in your spritzer bottle with some water, and strengthens your hair. It's good for your face. It's good for depression. It's an aphrodisiac. And yeah, it smells really good. And it reminds you of mama. I always do. It reminds me of the kitchen, right? Baking things. And Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, the sign of the mama. So vanilla to me is the best remedy for Ketu. The second one is lotus, because lotus flower is associated with meditation, and Jupiter guru is, you know, the priest teaching us how to meditate. So, you know, of course, you know, sandalwood is good too, because Rahu and Ketu work together. You know, they're two bookends of each other. So what helps one will sometimes help the other. But yeah, those meditation, incensey kind of fragrances really help Ketu. But vanilla, get yourself some vanilla. You can thank me later. Okay, so that's all of the grahas, and you know, how we can use our already our knowledge of essential oils and how we can apply them to the planets. Okay, you guys, I hope you like this video, and as usual, please click the like button and subscribe to my channel. And if you're interested in purchasing Uma's Upayas, they are currently in my shop on my website, which is hindustanastrology.com/shop. And currently I have the aromatherapy NavaGraha Elixirs, and I have a Shefali flower facial mist. And this is not just any average facial mist. I put collagen and hyaluronic acid, some glycerin, rose water, lavender infusion. I mean, this stuff is like, it's kind of like a light moisturizer and a toner at the same time, or you can spray it on your face. That's available. I do have some more products coming up. I can't wait to show you guys. Good stuff coming down the line. So if you're interested in purchasing those, they are currently in my shop on my website, and soon I will be opening my Etsy shop. So stay tuned for that. And I hope this finds you well, and get outside and enjoy the weather. It's so beautiful here in Indiana now that we are in springtime. So I hope that you guys are doing well. Thank you. Namaste.